All right, our final pick of the 2024 Cognizant Classic. This number absolutely mind-boggling for me. I was stunned. I think the number's probably changed since when we bet it, but 125 to 1 for this guy. He is 11th in bogey avoidance. We've already talked about how important that is across this course. This guy was one of the top favorites in the tournament last week, and he is now 125 to 1. I had to bet this man, and he is the epitome of driving distance. Hi everybody, welcome back to Inside the Canyon. Erik van Rooyen was the first round leader. He was around all weekend, and then yet again on Saturday, he pretty much laid an egg. Sunday, he had an eagle, birdie, closing out the front nine, but just he couldn't quite do enough to put himself in it in the back nine, a tied for 7th finish. This week, we're headed to Florida for the beginning of the Florida swing, and what was the Honda Classic is now the Cognizant Classic. And this week, as usual, we're going to do a quick breakdown into what should you know about the course. We'll get into the top 10 in my model. And then again, what all of you are here for, we will get into what are my picks this week for the Cognizant Classic. So without further ado, let's go ahead and get started breaking down the 2024 Cognizant Classic. Last year, we had Chris Kirk here, and it was one of our first outright winners of the season. This was the best week I've ever had on DraftKings, so I'm really not changing a lot of what I did for my model last year. I'm going to trust it and share that with you all. This is one of the hardest tests, one of the hardest courses on the PGA Tour outside of the majors. It consistently ranks in the top 10 in terms of the most difficult courses on the PGA Tour year in and year out. Outside of last year, we don't really see the score crank above 12 under par. This is not going to be one of those weeks where we're looking at how many birdies can you make in bunches. Birdies are better gained. We're going to put a huge emphasis on bogey avoidance. We're going to see who can scramble, who's good in difficult conditions. There is water left and right on this course. This is a water-intensive course. The only other 3 courses that come to mind that are even remotely close to this is down the street, TPC Sawgrass, home to the Players Championship, TPC Southwind, home of the FedEx St. Jude's Classic, and then TPC Twin Cities, home of the 3M Open. This is going to be a course that, with all this water into play, you're going to be seeing players not really hit driver that much. So we're going to look for people that are extremely long off the tee, because those that normally would be hitting it a long way with their driver, they're going to club down. They're going to hit 3-wood. They're going to hit 4-iron, 5-iron. And what do you know? Those people are going to be the ones that can actually hit it longer than those shorter players. And with that in mind, the proximity ranges after that first shot, it's looking at around 125 to 200 yards. It's pretty equally weighted, but I'm going to probably put a little bit more emphasis on 150 to 200 yards. So when we're breaking down our players this week, if they can't hit it a long way, we need to make sure that they're going to be razor sharp from those proximity ranges. And while this isn't a week where POA is on the surface, this is still, for some reason or another, a very difficult course when it comes to putting inside 5 feet and from 5 to 15 feet. There are a ton of putts that players are going to be left with 5 feet, 10 feet, 15 feet for par. A lot of the times because they're hitting it in the damn water and they have to recover and try and save for par. All right, without further ado, let's go ahead and dive into the top 10 players in my model this week. I will tell you, one player was missing from the model this week, and he's the best player in the field. He is number 1 in the odds to win this thing. Rory McIlroy. He's nowhere to be found in my model. Something must be wrong, but hey, we're going to roll with it because last year we hit Chris Kirk here. So if it ain't broke, don't fix it. Number 1 in my model this week is the runner-up from last year that very well could have stolen the outright from us. It's Eric Cole. Number 2 is Adam Svensson. 3 is JT Poston. 4 is Cam Young. 5 is Chris Kirk. 6 is Russell Henley. 7 is Sepp Straka, who has routinely played very well here. 8 is Tom Kim. 9 is Erik van Rooyen. I have to say, I'm going to set Erik van Rooyen off to the side for a little bit. I just don't think he can avoid the water and that he is going to... I just watched him bogey so many damn holes last week when if he just didn't bogey those holes, he would have been right there at the very end on Sunday. And I don't have another week of Erik van Rooyen in me this week. And number 10 is Matthew Pavone, the leader of the FedEx Cup standings. His stats actually rank really, really well here. And it seems to be a really good course fit. I would not be surprised at all to see Matthew Pavone play well this week. All right, with that said, let's go ahead and dive into the betting board for the 2024 Cognizant Classic. At the top of the betting board is none other than Rory McIlroy, a previous winner here. He is one of the best golfers in the world. I'm going to stay away from him purely because I just don't want to bet favorites this week. I think we've all seen what's happened on the PGA Tour this year, and none of that is really receptive to betting the favorite, even if you are Rory McIlroy. And then I take a look at this next tier of golfers: Cam Young, Russell Henley, Matt Fitzpatrick. All great golfers, but just not numbers that excite me. Eric Cole at 28-1. Sure, I bet you he plays very, very well. We've been on him before this year. As I said, you're probably going to get a chance to sweat a bet, and you're probably going to be on the most popular player of the week. I'd bet you he's probably not going to win, even though I do like his chances, and he was really close here last year. And then you get to this next kind of jumbled range between 30-1 and 50-1. And really, the two people that stood out to me that I didn't bet, but I think are really good fits for this course: Sungjae Im at 35-1. Obviously, he's won here before, back in the COVID year, essentially the week before COVID started. Funny enough, I was in New York at that time. And then Daniel Berger, a man who just straight up kills it here in the state of Florida. I think Daniel Berger could absolutely win this tournament. However, I have my doubts. He's been injured. It kind of makes you think about Will Zalatoris at the Genesis. A great fit to his skill set, a place he loves and holds close to his heart, and probably will play pretty well. I would not be surprised whatsoever if Daniel Berger on Sunday is sitting there with the lead. I'm just not sure we can trust him to close out the tournament quite yet. After that, Ricky Fowler at 55-1 was another place that I looked. Former Players Champion. I think Ricky could absolutely come out of nowhere and win this golf tournament, but we're going to stay away from him this week. I do like the number, and I gave it some serious thought, but ultimately decided to pass. Doug Gim, 65-1, playing some great golf. Just not sure he's ready to break out and get his first win out on the PGA Tour. As you look at some of the other longer shots, Ben Griffin was somebody that I gave some strong consideration to. This is a place where the average winner over the last 10 years or so is about 123-1. We've seen a lot of years where you have kind of the top of the board, Rory McIlroy, Cameron Youngs of the world winning this tournament, and then a ton of long shots, 300-1, 150-1, 250-1. I've tried to sprinkle my card with a little bit of, players that are proven on the PGA Tour and have already won, but then also a couple of those kind of up-and-coming stars that I think this is the perfect place for them to break out on. So without further ado, let's go ahead and dive into my picks for the 2024 Cognizant Classic. And with my first pick in the 2024 Cognizant Classic, it's none other than the player that has never missed a cut at this tournament. He's tied for 5th last year. He was 2nd the year before at 40-1. Shane Lowry, the Irishman. He is 7th in strokes gained in hard conditions. We've already covered that this is one of the top 10 hardest courses on the PGA Tour year in and year out. And not only has he played well here, where we look at the course history, that's 12th out of around 38 courses in course history, he's played very well at all the other comp courses. It's not a fluke. He's 10th in strokes gained at TPC Southwind, 23rd in strokes gained at TPC Sawgrass, and with his really great finish here, never missing a cut, he's 9th in strokes gained here at PGA National. Now, he's not the longest off the tee, but the big boy, he can hit it pretty far still. But most importantly, from the key proximity ranges of 175 to 200 yards, he's 15th. And from 125 yards to 150 yards, he's 19th. On top of that, he's 36th in strokes gained off the tee. I think this is a great fit for Shane Lowry on paper, and he's clearly shown us the past couple of years that it absolutely is a great fit for him. Continuing with that same thing, rewind the clock back to 2022. Our next pick, Sepp Straka, 45 to 1. Sepp Straka has already been on the show this year. As I've told you, I'm a big fan of Sepp. I think he's one of those guys when distance comes into play, approach comes into play, he's absolutely somebody that we're going to put on our card. And at the end of the day, I'm a huge fan of his. He's 4th in strokes gained at PGA National. And again, it's not a coincidence. He plays really, really great at all the other comp courses pretty much. He's 31st in strokes gained at TPC Sawgrass and 9th at TPC Southwind. He's used to playing in courses where you have to navigate water, you can't have big misses, you have to avoid big numbers, and you have to avoid bogeys. Again, he's tied for 5th and he's 1st in his previous 2 appearances. And when it comes to hitting it close, he's in the top 24. He's 24th in strokes gained approach. And as I've covered, this is going to be a huge week for putting inside 10 feet. We need you to be able to line up and putt for par after you've hit it in the water or you're scrambling around the whole damn course and sink that par putt. We're not looking for breeze or better gain this week. He's 16th in putting inside 10 feet. And then 23rd from 150 to 175 yards, and 23rd from 175 to 200 yards. I'm absolutely a believer in Sepp Straka this week, and there's no coincidence he's already won at this tournament before. We'll be backing him again this week. Our third pick in the 2024 Cognizant Classic is none other than Adam Svensson, coming in at 55 to 1. Adam Svensson played excellent here in 2022, just like our previous 2 bettors, Sepp Straka and Shane Lowry. He's also 5th in strokes gained at TPC Sawgrass just down the road. He's a guy who can absolutely navigate water. He can avoid bogeys. He's 35th in bogey avoidance and one of the best approach players in the field, not to mention ranking 20th in strokes gained off the tee. And when he's actually getting it on the putting surfaces, he's 11th in putting from 10 to 15 feet. Adam Svensson's one of those guys where he's an elite approach player, but he also does a lot of other things really well. A very well-rounded player here. If he can avoid the big misses and avoid falling into the penalty area, I think Adam Svensson will absolutely be there on Sunday. All right, our next pick, I'm not sure he's going to necessarily win the tournament. He's already won this year on the PGA Tour. Coming in at 65 to 1, Matthew Pavone. Now, you ask, why would I bet somebody if you just say, I'm not sure he's going to win? Well, I'm not sure he's going to win because, yes, he did win recently. In fact, he has 3 top 7s in his last 4 starts. He's playing incredibly great golf. His stats are probably the best of anyone we're going to be betting this week. I went back and forth with Matthew Pavone because I just don't think he's going to win after winning so recently. But when you look at it, he's never played here, by the way, before. We've had debutante winners, so that's not a problem. But when you look at his stats, they all jump off the page. 30th in strokes gained off the tee. 7th in strokes gained approach. 1st from the proximity range 150 to 175 yards. He's 4th in bogey avoidance. He is 12th in scrambling. He is 4th in strokes gained putting on Bermuda. 4th in putting inside 10 feet. 12th in putting 10 to 15 feet. Now go rewind the video to what we talked about at the very beginning in terms of the course notes. Checks every single box. And not only checks every single box, he's in the top 12 in every single one of them, except for strokes gained off the tee, which he's in the top 30. And I'd argue strokes gained off the tee is maybe the least important out of all these other ones that I just went through. So we are absolutely pushing the chips behind Matthew Pavone this week. I think he's going to at least give us a sweat, but we're hoping for more. With these next 3 picks, our final 3 picks, I really tried to identify some players at longer numbers. Maybe they've already won on the PGA Tour before, or maybe they have not. But I think their stats line up well for this course. They're playing great golf, and even if they have one, this is really going to be a breakout moment for either their second win and really kind of just push themselves onto the scene of the PGA Tour. Coming in at 80 to 1, Akshay Bhatia. Now, a course that absolutely you must avoid the big numbers. He is 14th in bogey avoidance. And one of the things you'll notice from the other pieces of my card is I don't really have a ton of people on the card to this point that are high up in driving distance or distance at all. And we talked about being able to kind of lay up off the tee. Akshay is 25th in driving distance. So when he takes that 4-iron, the 5-iron, or whatever it is, safe, kind of put it in the middle of the fairway off the tee, he's going to be further than most of the field. And I want to get a little bit of exposure to that in case that really does start to rear its head. And driving distance is important as I think it could be this week. He's also 10th in scrambling. We've already talked about you're going to have to get it to the damn green however you possibly can with all of the craziness that is around this course. He's 10th in scrambling. I don't have the most gigantic weight on scrambling this week, but it's absolutely important, and Chris Kirk was one of the top scramblers in the field last year when he won. All right, and on top of the driving distance, when Akshay gets it in the fairway, he's going to have, shorter proximity ranges than probably a lot of the rest of the golfers that are in the field because he hits it such a far away. So from 125 to 150 yards, he's 9th, and he's 4th from 150 to 175 yards. I think what we're really looking for from Akshay this week is a hot putter, which, we've seen him do it before. I think it can absolutely happen, and I think what a story. Akshay kind of came onto the scene in this tournament last year, if you recall. He had taken his shirt off, he was in the mud, he was in the water, and just got absolutely covered in it. And that was the highlight for him last year. I'm hoping the highlight for him this year is he's lifting the trophy on Sunday, and we're cashing an 80-1 ticket. All right, this next golfer, second to last, when I talk about an up-and-comer, young guy that I think is yet to break out, Justin Suh, 110-1. 110-1. What did I say earlier? 123-1 is the average winner over around the last 10 years. Justin Suh checks about every damn box, and he's already played well here before. Last year, rewind to the end of Friday, going into Saturday morning, Justin Suh sat at 10 under par as the leader in the Honda Classic, now the Cognizant Classic. Now, I think he's a little bit more of an experienced golfer, and with all the damn parity and craziness that we've seen this year, why can't Justin Suh get it right this year? Justin Suh is one of the best putters inside 10 to 15 feet, inside 10 feet. He's third from 10 to 15 feet. He's 9th inside 10 feet. Last year, he was horrendous in putting. That is his strength. He hit the freaking cover off of the ball. His ball striking numbers were out of control, but he couldn't putt the things he does the best. So I think if he can channel this ball striking that he had last year and just kind of go back to his happy place on this course and remember how to putt like he does on every other damn course on the PGA Tour, I think Justin Suh is just as live as any damn golfer on this betting board. Okay, we talked about driving distance exposure just a moment ago with Akshay. We're getting a little more exposure here with Justin Suh. He's 14th in driving distance. One of the top distance players in the field. And I think there's no coincidence to why he played well last year. He hits it a long way, and he is a great putter. Again, he didn't do great last year in putting, but I think he can turn it around. He's 3rd in strokes gained at this course. He's 2nd in strokes gained at TPC Sawgrass. He's 29th in strokes gained in hard conditions. All of this is lining up for Justin Suh to have an excellent week. I was waiting for his number to get steamed, and honestly, if you wait a little bit longer, you might get a better number, but I wanted to jump on this number before it ended up going down to 70-1 or 65-1 or something like that. I love Justin Suh this week. All right, our final pick of the 2024 Cognizant Classic. This number absolutely mind-boggling for me. I was stunned. I think the number's probably changed since when we bet it, but 125-1 for this guy. He is 11th in bogey avoidance. We've already talked about how important that is across this course. This guy was one of the top favorites in the tournament last week, and he is now 125-1. I had to bet this man, and he is the epitome of driving distance. Taylor Pendrith. He is 12th in driving distance. So if you've noticed these last 3 picks, I've really gone from these great approach players, great course history, to kind of these young up-and-comers who are hit it a long damn way off the tee and are still pretty good approach players or really strong putters. So he's 27th from the key proximity range of 150 to 175 yards. He's 9th from 175 to 200 yards. He's 27th in strokes gained at this course and 30th in strokes gained at TPC Sawgrass. Again, another guy. He has the DNA of going and playing courses where water is in play and he can avoid them and he can finish very, very highly. I think Taylor Pendrith is absolutely live to win. At 125 to 1, I was scratching my head, but we'll take advantage of the books here. Let's go Taylor Pendrith, our last pick of the 2024 Cognizant Classic. Let's burn the damn boats, as Kirby Smart once told the Georgia Bulldogs. There's no going back. We are headed to the Cognizant Classic, and we are burning the damn boats. We are going to win this week, just like we did last year at Chris Kerr.